Hi there, greetings everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here Monday night for a look back at a classic rock album, show that we do every Monday. And we're doing this album tonight, The Pretenders 2. I just recently did my new album's purchase, which was this afternoon. So if you want to see that, go back and watch. This was one of the albums I got, and I got their fourth album, Getting Close, I think it's called. Anyways, so I decided I would do a look back on this one. I listened to it this morning while I was getting ready, and then I've listened to it just before I came on here. I remember it being good. I believe I had this one, Pretenders 1, and Learning to Crawl. I had them all on cassette. They were kind of a band that were kind of post vinyl for me. By the time I got to them, I had kind of given up on my vinyl collection, given it to my sister. I hadn't given it to her quite yet, but I started collecting cassettes before I moved out, instead of the vinyls that I had, because I was going to have a limited space and no stereo system, and the normal stuff that people struggle with when they first move out. But anyways, so I had this and those other two on cassette, but once I got along a little bit, I started buying CDs in 1988 and slowly transformed the small 2 or 3 years worth of, or 3 or 4 years worth of cassettes. I stopped listening to them and started going to these instead. So I maybe had 50 or 60 cassettes at the time. So I got away from it, and then I started collecting CDs, and I just got this one again. So it's been a while since I'd actually heard it. I heard bits and pieces of it over time, but I hadn't really sat down and listened to the whole album for a while. So anyways, it's good to be able to do it. So this album was released August the 7th, 1981, recorded in the Wessex Sound in London. Also the Path, I think that's how you pronounce it, Path Marconi in Paris, France. About 46 minutes long, fairly long for this type of music. Normally punk or punk pop albums tend to be a little bit shorter. So you're sometimes often hard to get 40 minutes for one of them. It's on the Sire record label. You can see that here on the CD. Sire record label. Anyways, Chris Thomas being the producer here as well. So there are 12 tracks in all, and I'll give you the personnel. So there are the Pretenders themselves and some additional personnel for various instruments. So Crissy Hyndes, of course, lead vocals, rhythm, guitar, and backing vocals as well. James Honeyman Scott on lead and rhythm, guitar, and keyboards and backing vocals as well. Pete Farndon on bass guitar and backing vocals, and Martin Chambers on drums and backing vocals. In addition to that, we have Chris Mercer on tenor saxophone, Henry Loeffner and Jim Wilson on trumpets, Jeff Bryant on the French horn, and then you have Chris Thomas, the producer, also doing sound effects. Okay, so this album, like I said, 12 tracks in all. So how does this compare to One and Learning to Crawl, which are the first and third studio albums? So to me, Pretenders 1 is very raw, very bitey, lots of punky elements, heavy at times, catchy guitar riffs and all that stuff. This album's somewhat like that. There's a lot of similarities, but it also has a little bit more of that element that you're going to see a lot of on Learning to Crawl. So much more produced sounding, maybe a little bit more poppy friendly, but also quite raw though. So I think it's probably, if I was to air it, I would air it on the side of being more like Pretenders 1, a little bit more raw, but fairly well produced. I think Crissy's voice is really good on this album as well. So it starts with The Adulteress. This is a punky kind of power pop type tune, really catchy as well. bad boys get spanked. I don't want to comment on the social aspect of that, but it's raw, it's punky, it's bitey at times. Then you get Message of Love, which is kind of the big hit on the album. This has got real catchy hooks and riffs going on throughout the song. It's kind of bouncy, it's up and down. Her voice is great on this. I like the guitar riffing, really catchy, very memorable song. Probably the best on the album. I Go to Sleep is a little bit more of her vocal beat, a little bit more vocal dominated song. It's a heavy song, but at the same time, it kind of has that feeling like almost like a ballad, like she's singing slowly and articulating her voice really well. Her voice sounds great on this tune as well. Birds of Paradise, another good kind of bitey song. Talk of the Town, another one like that. Pack It Up, they're all kind of punky in nature. Poppy as well, but actually quite heavy for a punky poppy band, I think. Waste Not, What Not, Day After Day. Yeah, not particularly memorable tracks, but not terrible either. Jealous Dogs, another really good song. It's kind of bitey. I do like this kind of track. The final two tracks, English Roses and Louie Louie, a little bit unforgettable. If they stopped at Jealous Dogs, I think it would have been overall probably scored higher with me. But I don't dislike either of these. I don't really dislike any of the songs on this album. They're all quite good. Like I said, it's a very punky, flavored album. Poppy, but still punky. And a little bit raw. Maybe not as much as their opening debut album, but really good. I think, just really bitey. And of course, this is the final album for James Honeyman Scott and Pete Farden as well. I mean, both of them passed right. I don't know if they passed right after this album or just before the next one. People who are Pretenders connoisseurs would probably know that. I like their music a lot. I don't know much about their history other than I know that I believe Crissy Hyndes had a child with Ray Davies of the Kinks. I think that's how it went. And so I know a little bit about that. I think she's one of the best female vocalists of the time period. I put her up there with other punk vocalist voices like Deborah Harry, maybe a little bit more punky than that, but definitely in that range. There's some other stuff. I think Stevie Nicks during that time period was a big vocal name. I think she registers very well with those vocalists. And anyways, we're not comparing vocalists today. We're just talking about this album. So this is a solid Pretenders album. The first three, I think, the first two are really good. The Learning to Crawl is my particular favorite. Then the next one after that I like as well. I don't know much about anything after that. I kind of got away from them. I may change my mind and start collecting more of their stuff now that I've got the first four. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe. If you got any comments about the Pretenders or the Pretenders 2, their second studio album, you can put those in the comments section below. I'm always interested in learning more about these kind of things, so if anybody has anything they want to add, they can do that as well. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We will see you next Monday for another look back at another classic rock album. Take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye.